Hey folks, Moses Woodson here from High Desert Homestead, and today I'm in the camper. The wind's blowing outside. It's nasty. I'd rather be outside. The lighting would be better, but we're inside.
Today I'm going to show you how to convert any electric fence charger into a solar fence charger, and it's going to cost right around 200 bucks. So let me take and show you just exactly what we got.
I bought everything at Harbor Freight just to keep it simple. I'm building this for some friends of ours, and I didn't want them to have to take and order online or anything. If something goes out, they can just run down to Harbor Freight, grab what they need. Just made it a little bit easier. So we're going to start with our power. We have a 25 watt 18 volt solar panel. It's from Thunderbolt Solar. These are right around 70 bucks. I think I paid for it. They're really good. We've had one down here on the ground for over a year, charging up batteries every day. They've got a long life. They're amorphous, so even on a cloudy day, they're charging.
They also come with their own stand, so it's a scissor stand. You just scissor it out and you can put a couple stakes in the ground, zip strip it to it. It's not going to go anywhere. The next thing that we got as far as power goes is this 35 amp hour 12 volt battery, again from Harbor Freight. It was about 75 bucks, so I took and picked that up. You can use any type of battery you want, marine battery or just any 12 volt battery. The reason I got this one is it's designed for solar. It is a deep cycle battery, and again, they can just go pick one up at Harbor Freight.
Next component I got from Harbor Freight is this 100 watt solar charge regulator. It takes and it regulates at 100 watts, 7 amps. So it's not going to take and let you overcharge your battery. This unit will be on all the time. It's on the project that we're doing in Seligman. It's really going to take and keep things safe out there because they're not going to be there all the time. So I highly recommend this on anything that you're going to leave unattended. Now, if you're not going to leave it unattended, and you can be there and you can kind of watch your inverter every day, then you kind of know where your battery's at, how much power you're using. This right here, nobody's going to be there all the time. They're only going to come up on the weekends, so this is a safe option. Again, got this inverter from Harbor Freight. It's a Juniper. It has a readout on it, tells you how many volts your battery is. It does 1500 peak watts. It's a 750 watt inverter. Really like these. I got this one on sale for about $45. You don't have to have a 750 watt. I just wanted to make sure they had enough power. A 400 watt will do.
We will be using our Electro Manufacturing 6 joule charger.
Our 6 joule charger comes with a surge protector. I will be installing this on the inverter just in case we get a malfunction with the regulator. We don't want to burn up the charger, electric fence charger. So I'm going to be putting this surge protector. Every one of our 6 joule chargers have that. Again, you can go to our Etsy shop, which is in the description below, and find all of our fence chargers, our solar fence chargers. We have a 2 joule charger, but for 40 acres of fence, we're running multiple lines. It's just not hot enough to keep out, especially wild cattle, things like that. And at some point, they're thinking about putting in more lines on the fence. So we want to make sure that they don't have to upgrade later. If they want to add a few more lines down low to keep out predators, that sort of thing, we want to make sure that they've got enough power to get that done. And this 6 joule charger is going to take care of that with a little bit of an upgrade now. it saves them some time and money later. One more component that I had, you could pick these up. They have some humongous ones, some odd ones at Harbor Freight. They're about 35 bucks. I had these. You can make them. These were cables that came off of a tow motor that we junked out. So I had them. I'm going to use them. This is going to be the leads from the battery to the inverter, so make sure that I've got plenty of power there. The smaller of wire you have, the less amperage you have, and the more strain you put on that smaller wire, there's a chance it could burn up. It could just be too much power for it. Again, we're trying to be as safe as possible because nobody's going to be there. If you're there all the time, you can take and look for things like sparking and melting and that sort of thing, and you'd be totally fine with the cables that come with the inverter. I'm going to upgrade. You can make these a lot cheaper than the $35. You can go to Lowe's and get the little ends, make it yourself, or you can take and go to an electrician shop and they can make them for you, put the ends on it and everything. So I have these. I'm going to use them again just for safety.
I got a few bolts that are just stuff we have left over out of that warehouse. I grabbed a few of those. I've got a few tools, drill bits, that sort of thing. I'm going to be constructing the box. You guys are looking at this box over here. This is just a Plano box. That's the brand, Plano. And all of our solar components are going to go inside this. Our charger, our inverter, our battery, everything's going to go in here. But in order to make it safe, I'm going to put vents, and these are vents that are I actually bought them for our off-grid cabin, didn't use them. I'm going to take and cut these down. I'm going to cut a piece off of them, and I'm going to drill a series of holes in here. Your inverter is going to get warm, your charger is going to get warm, and the inverter does have a fan, so it will pull in fresh air. So I want to make sure that it's able to do that. And how it's going to do that is through these vents. I'm going to mount these on each side of this Plano box, and that's going to allow air to circulate. It's going to keep everything cool, particularly in the summer. It has a mesh on the back side of it. That's to take and keep bugs and stuff out there. We don't want waspers and bees and stuff setting up a hive in here, and it'll keep snakes out, mice out, that sort of thing.
Now we got that trimmed up, we can place our vent on the holes.
And I will be using a pop riveter today to put it on there. You can use bolts, screws, whatever you think works for you. So there's our vent. I've got this one done. I'm going to repeat the process on the other side, and then we're going to get to the electronics.
I've got my vents on both sides. They're silicone down. They're riveted down. Now we can move on to the inside. We don't want a whole lot of things blocking our vents, so we're going to strategically place them in here. Our number one item that we're going to put in here is our charger. So we want to go ahead and we want to mount that because that's one of our important parts. So I've got to figure out where it's going to go. So I'm going to start by
placing everything in here before we drill any holes or anything. We have to keep in mind that we are going to be running some leads off of this and out, so we probably want to hang it as high as possible. So I'm just going to start putting the components in there and see how it all works out.
So here we have our inverter. It's got 2 outlets. It even has USB. If they ever need to charge their phone, it's got fuses. It has a digital readout. So I'm going to take and put it in here, probably, let's say, like this. It does have a fan. I want to make sure I don't block that fan. This is the heaviest component. It's the battery. There again, I don't want to just make a too big of a mess here. Situating this all around. Switch sides with this. This is going to plug into here. Put a little bit of air room over here around the battery. This is going to hang up a little bit higher. We may want to there. I have sufficient airflow in here. And this is just a jigsaw puzzle you can put together. And we have two leads coming out here. They'll probably go either this direction or that direction. Drill through the side and silicone the hole shut. So we want to make sure we're in really good shape there. We have our surge protector, which is going to help us a little bit. We'll make sure we can put that all in. May want to turn it at an angle even. That looks good. Next is our regulator, and it's pretty simple. It has a readout up there, so I think I'll just bolt it to the side. This has a 12 volt power supply. We don't need that. This is just for 12 volt.
So what I'm going to do, these will short out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the positive short and the negative long. They won't ever come into contact, but I still have enough. If I ever wanted to use that, I could. It's not likely. So I'll mount that there. Our panel will have a cable coming in, which will hook to this side. The battery will come in here, which I will hook up. It clamps on, positive and negative. I'll take and I'll mount this one first, and then we'll start getting the wiring hooked up. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hang the electric fence charger in here. I'm going to drill 2 holes and mount it with some small bolts that we have. Okay, so now we have our regulator mounted. We've got our electric fence charger mounted. It's plugged into our inverter. I'm now going to hook up the cables to our battery. Now we can turn it on. I actually have 12.9. If you can hear that clicking, that is the electric fence charger. I'm going to go get my tester, and we're going to test and see how many volts this box is putting out.
I'm going to turn the system on. Now right now we're just pulling off of the battery. I've got a 7,000 volt tester right here. Doesn't really matter which way you hook it. Generally hook this on the fence and stick this in the ground. We're running a dual polarity system, so it doesn't really matter. So our fence is over here and our ground is over here.
And it's popping all 7,000 probably pushing 15 to 20. Now, if you don't have power and you didn't even have a solar panel and you just wanted to run a temporary fence, 750 watt inverter and a battery, it would run all day on just this battery and charge your electric fence for the day. This could be used as just a 12 volt system or as a solar system. So this is the setup. We'll drill a hole in down here, silicone it shut. We'll hook the battery to one side, the solar panel to the other side, and it'll be good to go. And if you guys can hear that, that is the charger clicking. Right now, this battery, they're usually not fully charged when you get them. It's setting at 12.7, which is well over 12 volts. They will charge up to 14 volts. So the next thing you're going to see is us at the job site, hooking up the solar panel and getting this thing operational on the fence. Okay folks, we've run our fence leads into the bottom of the box. I'll show you that in a minute. We have our solar panel coming in here. I've got to drill a hole so that I can plug it in to the solar side of our voltage regulator. Now I've got my solar wire running into my box. I'm going to just plug it up. It comes with an easy connection here. That's hooked up to my solar regulator now. Now I have my battery leads. They plug into the other side. We'll make sure you keep these separated. These plug into the other side of my regulator. And they're labeled battery and solar. So I got my leads. All I have to do is just attach my cables. Make sure I'm getting a good connection. I've got power coming in, it says. It's charging. Charging lights on. So we've got that hooked up. Tuck this out of the way here behind the battery. Now all I have to do is connect the leads to the charger. These leads here connect to the electric fence charger. It's run underground and it is connected to the bottom wire. We're running a dual polarity system. Hot, ground, hot, ground, hot. We have the hot wire here jumped under and up to our hot wire on the other side, and it is jumped hot, ground, hot, ground, hot. Our ground is done the same way. So we've jumped this gate and continued our power across. So now the whole system is charged, going this direction, going back around this direction. Our solar panel is hooked up to the battery. Our inverter is hooked up to the battery. We are going to plug this in. It has a surge protector on it, just in case it gets a lightning strike or something. So we're all hooked up. To turn it on, all we have to do is turn on the inverter. You can hear the charger working. We're going to test it out. All right, we have our tester in hand. This one only registers 7,000 volts. We have a hot wire right here and a ground wire right here. And it's pushing, I don't know if you can see it or not, it's pushing a full 7,000 volts, which means it's probably pushing more. This one only goes up to 7,000 volts. Our system is working. It's pushing a full 7,000 volts by this tester. If I had a larger tester, I would test it. But I'm gonna go to the farthest side of this fence line, and I'm gonna test it there also. Guys, here we are, we're at the farthest point from our charger on this whole project. So I'm gonna take and I'm gonna test the fence right here, and that's gonna tell us if it's still pumping 7,000 volts, then it's pretty consistent throughout the whole system. Okay, here we go. Now if you can see the little lights, but they are flashing up to 7,000 volts. That means we're pretty consistent throughout the whole system.
Touch it.
I ain't touching it. All right guys, that's our solar setup. Just rehash, that's a 25 watt, 18 volt panel, a 35 amp hour battery, a voltage regulator, 100 watt, 7 amp, 750 watt inverter. I went a little overboard with that. You really, if you're on the place all the time and you're looking at it, you probably don't need the regulator. It would be fine. We've been running around here all morning and it's dropped from 13.7 volts in the battery to 13.5 in the battery. So right now it's running a little bit off of the battery, mostly off of the solar panel. And again, this whole setup here cost me about 200 bucks and some odds and ends of bolts and stuff that I already had. So you can use any electric fence charger that you have with this system. If you're going to go bigger, you might want a bigger battery. I just bought all this stuff at Harbor Freight so that my friends wouldn't have to run around or wait for shipping. They can just go to Harbor Freight, pick up the components, and be right back in business if they need to. So there you have it. Any electric fence charger you have, you can convert it to solar, save you a little bit of money, and you can set it up anywhere you want to. And again, if you're just setting up a temporary pen, you don't even need the solar panel. You just need a battery, and if your horses are pretty accustomed to electric fence, you can just hook it up with that battery and you're good to go. The biggest part of our budget for this build was the solar panel. It was about 70 bucks. So for 130 bucks, you can set up a 12 volt system with a big enough battery that'll run all through the night. So if you're out, you're camping, or you're just putting up some temporary pasture, it's a real inexpensive way to run some electric fence around your pasture. All right, folks, that's going to about do it for me today. We've tested the system. It's good to go. If you have any questions about this, make sure to comment below. Anything about this system, any questions you might have, I'll do my best to take and answer them. And until next time, remember, pray hard, stay strong, ride on.